Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life, and this will be the recap video to AT&T's second quarter earnings that they released this morning. I already made a video earlier in the morning giving you guys some of the numbers of the quarterly earnings. So now you guys have an idea that AT&T did really well. Estimates from analysts show that AT&T was going to gain around 287,000. They completely crushed that. They did 789,000 ads. So they completely beat those estimates. And I listened in to the entire earnings call, sat through the Q&A. And as you can see by the title, AT&T stock flat as earnings, revenue, subscriber additions beat views. So they beat everything, all estimates across the board. Yet the stock still has not gone up. It's been relatively flat. I've been tracking it since this morning. It actually was down a little at some parts of the day. So I just wanted to give you guys my take, my recap on this quarter. I think it was a big quarter. AT&T is clearly growing in volumes, and they did state this during the earnings call that they feel very confident in the position that they're in. They still carry DirecTV in this quarter, HBO Max, Warner Media. That still carried over to this quarter. They anticipate actually the DirecTV deal to close in the first week of August, and then the Warner Media spinoff is set to clear in about a year or so from now. They expect it to take a full year of a review process for that deal to go through. So they expect that to close sometime in the summer next year. Now, what's interesting is AT&T is continuously beating estimates every quarter so far. And that momentum does not seem to be slowing down going into Q3 and Q4, because AT&T, once again, just like Verizon, also does fairly well in those quarters, even in previous years. Now, what is it going to take for investors to start really rallying behind AT&T and believing in the company? That's the key piece. That's really the key piece. Stanky is making some pretty tough decisions, and they're making some pretty big moves, in my opinion. They're getting rid of media. That's a fact. They're getting out of media. Those deals are in the works, in the process. They're selling off the individual business units. They sold another unit of that business yesterday for $4.5 billion. So the money intake is happening very quickly, very rapidly. I think this is just a couple of points of mine. I think some of the concern is Verizon on the other end. They're growing at much smaller volumes versus even AT&T, but Verizon still makes more money. So Verizon is still taking in more cash. They're investing the same timetable of Q2. Verizon has already invested $8.7 billion into its network. But that's not just wireless, of course. That also takes into account Fios and then laying the fiber for Verizon. AT&T is spending a lot less. I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but I think it was like $4 billion. And a lot of that money out of that $4 billion is not all going to wireless. Some of that is going to fiber. Some of that is still going to HBO Max. Because remember, they're still carrying that on their sheet, on their balance sheet. So their investment in the network may not be more or less as impressive as what Verizon is doing right now. Verizon is firing on all cylinders. Their second half is going to be loaded, just like AT&T's second half will be loaded as well. But if you look at the report and you break down the numbers, AT&T's CapEx outside of the gross is set at $17 billion. Once you split that with fiber, HBO Max, what's left for wireless may not be a huge significant amount versus what Verizon is doing. So maybe some of the investors are looking at it from that standpoint, and some may be shifting their investments towards Verizon. We've recently seen Warren Buffett beef up his investments into Verizon. So there's a lot of money to be made there. And then later in the year as well, Verizon announced that they are going to raise dividend. So that may help investors that are on the fence about Verizon move their money to Verizon. So, but nonetheless, this was a great quarter for AT&T. Lots and lots of volume coming in. And with that volume, you have opportunities to do everything with that volume. Connected cars, fiber. You can still put them on HBO Max, sell them on HBO Max if they're not willing to get into a unlimited plan that has HBO Max a part of it. So that's something that they did mention in the Q&A, that there's still lots of opportunity for AT&T to upsell. There's still some customers that they want to put in the higher end unlimited plan. So that's still a possibility and a opportunity to do that. And that's more or less what the earnings call was about. Again, there was a big segment on the Dish AT&T deal that I kind of wanted to fill you in towards the end. And I know they really haven't. I know some articles have stated publicly that AT&T is in and T-Mobile is out. But I know a lot of you have still been asking questions like, hey, do they still have to uphold the 7-year agreement and with T-Mobile? And I'm going to tell you guys right now, this is from several of my sources. And this will be seen publicly very soon in a more detailed message. This is from me to you guys. T-Mobile is done. That deal is finished. The deal will be carried out throughout the migration period. There's a 2-year period where AT&T will, of course, in accordance with Dish, they'll migrate the customer. Some, and this was talked about during the earnings call, some will need new SIM cards, which is not a big deal. Some will need new devices as well. So again, AT&T may be willing to help Dish on the subsidy side to get that customer in a new device. It was made very clear by John Stankey that Dish was going to be successful regardless of what happened. Dish was going to be successful one way or another, whether it be with T-Mobile, Verizon, or AT&T. So John Stankey, Jeff McElfresh decided that we want to be a part of that success. So why not take $500 million out of your competitor's pocket annually? And he said that's the minimal amount. That's going to increase. So what I perceive is, from that statement, each year as Dish and their brands grow traffic onto the AT&T network, let's say Boost has an awesome quarter, they grow Ting, Republic Wireless, and then the postpaid side of Dish, let's say they keep growing and there's more traffic on the AT&T network. AT&T is going to charge Dish more for that additional traffic. That's what I'm perceiving. So that $500 million that they're going to pay annually, as John Stankey stated, is the minimal. It could be $700 million one year. It could be $1.4 billion one year. We don't know. That's the whole beauty in this deal. That's why Charlie got smart, started chopping around, and noticed, hey, I'm not getting such a great deal with T-Mobile. He was going to have to pay, the last I checked, he was going to have to pay T-Mobile $2.6 to $3 billion annually to be the MVNO partner or to be on T-Mobile's network. He got smart, and AT&T was like, look, we've been in that business for a very long time. We know how to make a good MVNO deal or wholesale deal. So it's for 10 years. They're going to start, they're going to be at the minimal of $500 million. And then as traffic increases or slows down, that's how they'll pay each annual year. So just wanted to throw that in. That's something that Stankey made very clear. They seem to be really wanting to facilitate Dish Network to be the fourth carrier in the United States, from what it sounded like. That's per the agreement. That was supposed to be T-Mobile's job, but it seems like they didn't want to do it. Now AT&T is like, look, if you're successful, I'm taking money from you anyway. You're paying me. So I want to be a part of that success. And yes, Charlie Ergen, I will help facilitate and make you the fourth carrier in the United States. That's what I get from that. T-Mobile is out. They are done. There was no way that Dish was going to pay T-Mobile $3 billion and then they paid AT&T, whatever they were going to pay that year, depending on the traffic. It just didn't make sense. AT&T already has a bigger network. They have a better network in a lot of areas. So AT&T is in, T-Mobile is out for Dish. So let me know what you think about all this in the comment section down below. I know that was a lot to take in. Again, great quarter from AT&T. I still think they're just touching the tip of the iceberg. I think there's more to come. They can do so much more. They're still trying to figure it out, so to speak. They're still trying to get rid of all these other assets and businesses, and then they want to trim it down to just wireline and wireless. So that will come with time. So if you have been on the channel or you're new to the channel and you have not yet liked, shared, subscribed, make sure you do so. Hit the notification bell. Make sure to follow my social media outlets for more updates and interactions. Thanks again for watching. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.